For grammar. Today we're looking at sentence patterns in a series having to do with introductory series and appositives. Again, with your notes, use the screencast. The slides are linked as well to do not only filling in the definitions, looking at the pattern, understanding the components and nuances of the pattern, doing some guided practice with it, and then actually crafting your own sentences to be reviewed by your teacher. Let's look at the slides. So this is pattern 6. You may or may not be going through these in order. You may or may not be skipping some patterns. Just go with these because they make sense as a set. Some definitions. First, an appositive. An appositive is another word for something already named in the sentence. Or another way to think of it as an appositive is a renaming or restating of something in the same sentence that makes you more positive or more sure about what something is. Remember that appositive items need to be parallel. So they should have the same structure, same parts of speech, etc. An introductory series is another term for this particular pattern. An introductory series is a series, or a short list, placed at the beginning of a sentence and which precedes the independent clause. So the introductory series is not the subject, it's not the verb, it's preceding that, it's before that. There's still an independent, complete sentence after that introductory series. And also reminding ourselves of the term from a previous lesson, a dash. A dash is a punctuation mark of 2 hyphens with no spaces before or after. In this case, we're going to use a dash to separate an introductory series from the rest of the sentence. So the pattern for pattern 6 is A, B, C, are the 3 items in a series. You could have 4, you could have 5. The 3 items in a series, dash, summary word, subject verb. So we're using a dash, not a hyphen, following the series. So again, sometimes if you type 2 hyphens back to back and continue typing, it will autocorrect it into one solid line. As a dash, that's fine. If it appears as 2 hyphens, that's also okay. When we say summary words, we mean words like these, all, each, such. They may or may not be followed by a word of or of the. But these are going to be the kind of words that actually indicate that we're talking about that previous set as a group. We want to make sure that all items in the series are parallel. If it's all single words and they're nouns, great. If it's all verbs, they're all ing verbs or present participles. Is it a describing word and then a noun? Is it a verb and an adverb? So we want to make sure that we're consistent with that parallel use. Some examples of pattern 6. Tiramisu, mascaccioli, tortellini. These are my favorite Italian dishes. So it's an appositive because I'm telling you that, without saying it directly, that tiramisu, mascaccioli, and tortellini are all Italian dishes. But I'm adding it to it. Notice that after the dash, these are my favorite Italian dishes. This is a complete independent clause. I don't have to have the list. But by having the list first, it adds explanation and clarity. I could just say tiramisu, mascaccioli, tortellini are my favorite Italian dishes. But again, we're looking for variety in our sentences. The nice thing too is the dash indicates we've got a list, so we can treat that separately. Our brain can process that as a group or as a series, as opposed to trying to just match it to the rest of the sentence. Second example, Mr. Mraz, Coach Hansen, Mr. Melcher. All 3 of these educators shaped my teaching style. Notice for the list, we have some kind of prefix and the last name for all 3. If I had first name and last name for one of them, it wouldn't be parallel. I would need to have first name and last name for all 3 of these. Notice the dash, the summary word all, as well as the summary word these. And then we have an independent clause. All 3 of these educators shape my teaching style. That's an independent clause, a sentence by itself. And that's how we use pattern 6. If we go back to your actual practice here, once you finish the notes and pause and replay if you need to, you have just 2 activities today. One is to go ahead and fill in blanks on sentences. The first 2, A and B, you're adding the items to the series. Notice in B, it's a 2. And these are going to be verbs, by the way, so they're infinitives, but the 2 is in there in order to keep it parallel. Whereas item C, you have the list, you have the series, and you're asked to add the summary statement. When you craft your 3 examples using pattern 6, make sure your series or your list is at the beginning of each sentence, followed by a dash, followed by a summary word, and a complete independent clause. When you're finished, go ahead and share it with your teacher or ask for feedback.